So hello guys, and today I was really bored, so I made a spreadsheet on what the top tier controller players right now are using for their settings. This includes their Y settings, the X settings, their dead zones, their ADS settings, their build sensitivities, their edit sensitivities. So yeah, I picked 10 controller players that I think are really good. So these 10 controller players are Wavy Jacob, Miro, Reet, Hoofishy, Oagoop, Litchi, Wolfies, Illust, Unknown, and Scoped. So let's get right into it. So my first topic is X and Y sensitivity. So for both X and Y sensitivities, the average sensitivity was 48%. Now for the X sensitivity, the lowest sensitivity was 43. I'm going to say sensitivity a lot. And the highest was 55. For Y, the lowest was 43 and the highest was 60. So Reach had the highest Y sensitivity of 60%, and Miro had the highest for X, which was 55%. So out of these 10 controller players, half of them, or 5 players, had the same value for both X and Y sensitivities, and the average amount of difference between the X and Y sensitivity was 2.1. What this says is that you should probably keep your X and Y sensitivities pretty close, since a lot of these top tier pro players are succeeding with that. Obviously you don't have to, but I recommend that you do. But what surprised me a lot was I think it was Rate had a difference of 10 between X and Y, right? So his X I think was 50 and his Y was 60. It could have been the other way. I'm sorry guys, I don't remember, right? But that's what surprised me a lot. So a lot of these pro players do keep their X and Y pretty close, but Reach clearly not, and he's literally the god. So yeah, let's move on to the next topic. So this next topic is a very short one, Expo or linear. So 8 of the pros that I've selected out of the 10 were linear players. The two that weren't were Unknown and Reach. They were both exponential players. That's all I'm going to say. I actually made a video about exponential and linear. So if you want to check that out, please check it out. I've got nothing further to say. So yeah, let's move on to the next one. So the third topic is building and editing. So the average build sensitivity was 2.16%, 2.16 multiplier, and Reet actually hit the lowest since he had the highest X and Y sensitivity. That's quite normal. He had 1.6 multiplier, and for the highest, Ellis had the highest, he had the lowest. He was tied with a bunch of people, but he had the lowest X and Y sensitivity. So now he has the highest build sensitivity of 2.7. Now we move on to editing. Now editing pretty much has the same average as building. It has a 2.13, which is 0.03 lower than building. Rate is also the lowest for editing. He again has 1.6. The highest this time is Scoped with a 2.6. He's actually tied with Illust for the highest in building as well. Okay, out of the 10 controller players that I picked, 8 of them had the exact same edit and build sensitivity. 2 of them didn't, who are Illust and Wolfies. Wolfies had a 0.1 difference between editing and building, while Illust had a 0.2. So yeah, you should always keep your editing and building sensitivity pretty much the same, since all these pros do it. So after reevaluating this, after watching this video a couple of times, I had decided to add another category. So building and editing sensitivity is the last one, but this is a bit confusing since the X and Y sensitivities are all different. So I've decided to add a build sense and an edit sense. So how I did this is I took the X and Y sense and I multiplied it by the edit and build multiplier. So for example, Wavy Jacob has a 2.1 build sense and a 43x sensitivity. So I times the two together to give me a 90.30x build sensitivity. So I did this to every single one. So here are the results. So the average build sense for X was 101.5 and for Y it was 101.38. So the lowest for X was Rate with 80% and the lowest for Y was OA Coop with 90%. The highest for both X and Y was Wolfies with 121.5 for X and 116.1 for Y. So I did the exact same thing for editing as well, and I got pretty much the same results. The lowest for x was also rate, the lowest for y was also OA cube, and the highest for both x and y was Wolfie's. So yeah, pretty much the same. So the average ADS for x is 12%, the average ADS for y is 11%. The person who had the lowest ADS for both x and y is OA cube, who had 6% for y and 7% for x. The highest was Red, who had 17 for both x and y. Like all the other sensors that I've been talking about, 6 people had the same x and y sensitivity, but even the people who didn't, have the same sensitivity, the difference is only by like 1 or 2%. So all the pros are, I guess, keeping the same sensitivity for both y and x for ADS. So for dead zones, most people use around 10% for dead zones, most pro players. Obviously this depends on your controller. If your controller is really old, maybe you want to go for like a 13, just how like Wavy Jacob does, or maybe if your controller is really new and sparky, I guess, you want to go with 6% like rate, right? Because the lower the better, but if your controller can't handle it, it doesn't matter. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This video took a long time, so please like and subscribe. And this is the full spreadsheet if you want to see it. Pause the video right now. This is the full spreadsheet, and hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.